Night panel feature myself, Grumpy Graham, and Lou Eisen, noted historian and author, soon to be published author.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we were just talking before going live to air that the ratings, if you will, for the Shakur Stevenson fight last night were not great. And the Navarrete fight before him ended in a draw. So boxing fans out in Las Vegas were not very happy with that outcome at all. But nonetheless, we wanted to talk about the the old age pensioners fight that took place last weekend.
That's incredible that was allowed.
Down in Kingston, Jamaica.
Yeah, I mean,
well, maybe that explains it.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe they was like that because they were high, but I mean, I think even being in Kingston and smoking and getting high there wouldn't have made that fight any more palatable. I think it was just I watched a bit of the replay, but these were two. Right. One, Tony's 55; his brains are already scrambled.
Yep.
Razor Ruddock is 60, and this is going to keep happening until someone dies, until someone has a heart attack or someone gets punched hard enough to be killed. But in this fight, there were a couple of good punches, but it shouldn't have happened. And to license it can't be licensed in the States, but it just shows you the criminality inherent in boxing that they'll license anyone. And the fact is, I mean, if they had to pass a physical, they probably couldn't. Maybe in Jamaica they could, but not to North American standards. And also, you just mentioned Shakur Stevenson and Navarrete, who should be fighting each other. And Oscar De La Hoya addressed this. We got to start making fights that fans want. Otherwise, the sport will die.
Yes.
I mean, this attitude of promoters, like, we don't care what you want. We're gonna have Tyson Fury fight Derek Chisora 5 more times in a row. People don't want that. Let the fans have what they want.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is we talked about last week that we need to expand the boundaries, if you will. We can't all be these all British fights that the fans scream for in England, but nobody else cares around the world.
Right. In 20s, 30s, and 40s, like in the 30s, the 2 best fighters in the early 30s were welterweight champ Jimmy McLarnin and junior welterweight and lightweight champion Barney Ross. People wanted them to fight, so they fought. But if it was today, it would take years to get it done, and there'd be jockeying back and forth. And how about the money split? Well, McLarnin said, "You're a champion, I'm a champion. Let's split it even and fight." And that wouldn't happen today. That's why Tyson Fury hasn't fought Usyk already. Usyk said, "I'll agree to a 60-40 split." And then Fury said, "I want 75-25. Okay, right. Now I want 90-10. At which point Usyk said, "Come on. You're not going to get 100% of the money. I have 3 of the belts, you have 1. And I think Fury's just delaying this. Although they're supposed to fight February 17th, I don't think that will come off. I'll believe it when I see it. And I think Navarrete getting a draw last night showed that maybe it's too much. Too many fights, hard fights in too short a time. And it's starting to wear on him.
Speaking of wear, just to go back to that pensioners fight down in Kingston, they actually had to. They were starting off with 3-minute rounds, but I think it was like after the second round, they cut it down to 2-minute rounds. So I thought it was pretty funny. I've never heard of that. Never seen it, but never heard of that.
No, I've never heard of that in a licensed fight, and I guess there was a real fear, like someone could have a heart attack, and yes. I mean, if there's not precedents, there's precedent for this, precedents for old guys fighting each other, Roy Jones, Dyson, and that. But there have been fights, as you know, Graham, where the guy's well trained, but he's so anxious and nervous and so hyped up that he fights 15 rounds in the first 2. And that happened with Hagler Hearns. Hearns was in great shape, but he said, "Hagler never gave me a chance to do what I want, so I had no choice." I had to stand there and slug, and I didn't want to do that. And by the end of the second round, I was exhausted. But these guys weren't hitting each other, and they were exhausted. Just the effort of missing tired them out.
Anyway, it was funny. I mean, obviously I didn't catch it live. I saw, like you, the replays, and it was funny to watch. It actually was.
Yeah, there were more solid punches landed at the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame thing 10 years ago when Joe Kapp and Angelo Mosca went at it with their respective canes.
That's right.
And those guys, remember that? And they were in their 70s and they were whacking each other.
Yeah, with their canes. Yeah,
yeah, and that was a real fight. You could charge for that, but to charge money for that, I mean, that's a joke.
Yeah. So we have some fights upcoming. Let's have a quick look here. Over in the UK, we've got Azim versus Pettigene.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's Adam Azim. I could be wrong.
I wonder when Michael Conlan's coming back, or even if he is coming back.
Fight news.
Because he suffered 2 bad knockout losses in his last 3 fights.
Michael. Let's have a look.
Michael Conlan.
Irish boxer. We knew that. Featherweight. Does he have anything coming up?
I always thought he'd be a great.
Wow. Can't believe he's 31 already.
The Olympics, that goes quick.
No, he doesn't have anything upcoming at all.
Wow. A guy like him reminds me a bit of the way he fights. Reading about battling Nelson and fighters like terrible Terry McGovern, featherweight and bantamweight champ, and Ad Wolgast, lightweight champ. Wolgast and McGovern had severe pugilistic and dementia by the time they were 25. Wow. So many fights in such a short period of time. Face first, walk-in sluggers, take 5, 6, 7 shots to land one, and then didn't know who they were, where they were, and it was sad. Just had their brains bashed in that weren't taught any better, and also didn't have an amateur pedigree because people were starving back then, so they had to support their family. They had to fight. It was the one thing they could do well.
Yep. And interestingly enough, I got to say here, just having a quick cruise through BoxRec, having a look at fighting around the world. Just there are Australia, Germany, Belize. These are fight nights, like an entire card. Ecuador, France, several. Germany again, another fight.
There's a card coming up with United Promotions here soon with Brandon Cook.
Ghana, wow.
Brandon's always a good fighter and well worth watching.
India, wow. It just goes on.
Yeah.
Italy, Mexico. So quite a lot of fights going on this weekend, despite the headlines.
A lot of it depends on the jurisdiction where it's easier to get fights licensed.
Right.
It's easier in Montreal than in Toronto because their licensing is done by the Alcohol Board and Gaming Board. There's no Quebec Athletic Commission. So there's people that get to fight that come up from Mexico, as we said of Jeanette Zacharias, who have no experience, but they get licensed. But in Toronto, or Ontario, you could bring in an MRI and the Ontario Athletic Commission said it's a month old. Right, I haven't fought since then. Well, we need an updated one. So that's ridiculous, but that happens, and that prevents a lot of fights.
Yeah.
There would be more in Ontario if we had a better athletic commission run by honest people who knew what they were doing. But they figure we'll take it out of the hands of boxing people and put it in the hands of government. And every time in the States when they say we should have the federal government running boxing, and there's always someone who says they can't run the country. How do you think they're going to run the sport of boxing?
That's a good point.
They can't get medical care for people. They can't feed people or house people or help homeless people or people that are mentally ill and need a special education. You think they really care or could do better with people punching themselves? Not going to happen.
The fight you were mentioning before, down the road from us, actually, is December 2nd at the Pickering Casino, put on by United Boxing.
Right, that was a good showing.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Brandon always fights his heart out too. He's what you call a really good professional fighter. He comes to fight, gives you a great show, and he's very skilled and tough as nails. And like all fighters of Brandon, speak to him outside of the ring. He's the sweetest, shyest, most polite person. But once he gets in the ring, his face changes, and he's there to go to war.
Oh, it seems like there's a good battle going on in Manchester tomorrow night. Nick Ball, Isaac Dogbo, Denzel Bentley versus Nathan Heaney, Liam Davies versus Vincenzo Lafima.
Those are good names. I worry about Isaac Dogbe because he's past his best before date.
Yeah.
You know, and just his father had him fighting the wrong style, and he had his time. But you know, as in boxing, your time could be 1 or 2 fights.
Yeah. Someone who's been on Talking Fight several times, actually, Hannah Rankin. She's up against Emma Kozin. Nathaniel Collins going up against Zach Miller, and Iko Usman going up against Harry Scarf.
Right.
So, yeah, so some good fights over in Manchester tomorrow night.
I've been reading all week a book sent to me, and I'm going to interview him when I finish it, by Joe Body, who wrote a book on Joe Jeanette, part of the original Black Murderers Row, great heavyweight, on the Gotti brothers, called Thunder and Lightning, on Joe and Arturo Gotti. And I was reading the chapter about how Arturo lost to Angel Manfredi, although he had him out in the last round. And Manfredi was pushing his head down, so when he threw a punch, he hit him low and lost a point. And then he lost 2 in a row to Ivan Robinson. And he said to the promoter, Main Events, I'm not a guy who likes to chase guys. I need someone who's going to stand in front of me and fight. You know, you got to improve the matchmaking. And he was right, but took too much punishment in too short a time. And Arturo was a gifted technical boxer. He just very rarely used it. And I didn't know when reading about him that he was an alcoholic during his career and taking copious amounts of different drugs.
Huh.
So his friends thought the fact that he could even get in the ring and fight with these people was just incredible. Hey, Mike, how you feeling?
Good. Better. I was dying of COVID or something for the last couple of weeks.
One of my close friends just in Victoria has it for the 3rd time.
And he said, well, yeah, I guess this must have been my first, but yeah, no, it wasn't good. I couldn't breathe, couldn't talk without coughing. It was pretty bad.
I'm sorry.
Been laid up in bed. Oh, well, now I'm better, so it's all good now. Did we watch the Stevenson fight last night, everybody?
I didn't know it was on.
Yeah, no, it was a late.
Stevenson. What a lackluster performance.
Well, there you go.
Often.
He got booed?
They got booed.
Wow.
It was garbage. Honestly, he apologized. He apologized at the end of the fight and said that he's sorry that he wasn't on point. It was very, very boring. Very, very boring. Navarrete
fought to a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo. Ooh. I can't believe that though. I can't believe that. How do you fight to a draw after you drop a man twice?
Is it in Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens. It shouldn't. That should be enough technically in a 12-round fight to give you a points advantage. I mean, he doesn't mean he wins every round. It just means he won those 2 rounds by a big margin. So now it's a 10-round fight, And out of all he's got to do now is win 5 rounds out of the next 10, and he wins. And surely he did that. But, this is the kind of thing where people watch the fight and they go, forget it. Not worth it. Not coming back. They got to stop doing that to people.
Yeah.
Now he's good for boxing. I just never
He's
understood.
great. He's great.
And like when they screwed recently,
I know.
and I thought, why are you doing this?
Well, you know what? I can't believe Max DeLuca and Chris Flores both scored this thing even. So I don't know what fight these guys were watching. I didn't believe it. But you know what? Let's see a rematch. That's what I'm saying.
Max DeLuca, as I said before to you, couldn't score or fired at a beat eating contest.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
Max DeLuca is older than baseball. I mean,
so you're saying that he might not have been watching that fight. He might have been watching something in his head.
I think he's technically blind. This is a guy who has a record of terrible scoring fights, and there's no review.
Yeah.
It's similar to, you hitting a home run in baseball and the umpire saying, no, it's not a home run. Why? I don't have to tell you why. Well, obviously, Major League Baseball would say, well, you can't do that. They would look into it. But boxing's, it's all right. He knocked him out a couple of times. Doesn't matter. We can't do anything about it. But you can do something about it. You can look at his card and say he made a mistake. He's old. He's done this before.
Yeah.
His scorecard wouldn't compare favorably to a scorecard from Ray Charles. You know what I'm saying? So it's ridiculous that a guy like that. Why can't boxing say, listen, you're in your late 80s. You scored fights before. You've made mistakes. You're done. This isn't communism. You don't get a guaranteed job. Bring in somebody younger who knows what they're doing, or have a panel. I think every fight, especially every major title fight, needs to be reviewed.
Yeah, it should.
And they have to be able to say, sorry, you screwed up. Fans paid money for that. Now fans will be hesitant to pay money the next time because there's no guarantee.
That's true. Very true.
It's not like if it's a close fight and you go, well, I think he edged it in this round or that round. But if when there's knockdowns and knockouts are definitive. They can't be argued. So
very true. Very true.
The thing that kills me is online recently someone said, just because Lennox Lewis knocked out Mike Tyson doesn't mean he's a better fighter. And I said, really? What's the metric you use then? Just because my team got 8 goals and yours got 1 doesn't mean you won. Well, that's the way boxing works. And so on the same post, people said, well, Tyson had a better chin. And I said, Tyson was dropped 5 times, Lewis twice. So how can you say he's got a better chin? Yeah, but this was late in his career. Right. It's late in his career. He wasn't the champ. He switched to chocolate milk from soy milk. In other words, if it's an American fan and an American fighter, losses don't count, and neither do knockdowns. But when it's a Canadian fighter, then they count. You can't have it both ways. It's got to be one way or the other. It's got to be one rule for everyone, or the rules don't count. And knockdown, 2-point round, that would be 10-8, 10-8, 20-16. Let's say it's the first 2 rounds. That's a 4-point lead. That's really hard to overcome. His opponent would have needed to score at least 1 knockdown, even pull even, let alone to get a draw. I mean, remember the only other fight that happened was Pacquiao and Marquez. When Manuel Marquez, when Pacquiao dropped him 3 times in the first round, and Marquez got up and fought his butt off for the next 11, and it was a draw. But even then, I thought, Pacquiao beat him. But
right.
The ineptitude and the criminality of the sport has got to be eliminated.
Yeah, it does. Some great fights, though, were put up last night. Floyd Diaz came through with a split decision over Max Ornelas for that WBC Youth World Bantam title. Our boy Troy Isley, coached by Ron Sims, he took the unanimous decision over Vladimir Hernandez. Giovanni Sanchotto. He's TKO over Lucas de Abreu. Abreu was down twice in round 3 for that one. Abdullah Mason, victory over Jose Cardenas. That was a TKO. That one was in the second round out of the scheduled 6. So Abdullah Mason stays undefeated. Our man Emilio Vargas, KO over Brian Mendoza. Wow, what a swarming event that was. Vargas was just on this guy from the beginning.
Was that Fernando Vargas' son?
Yes. They have that dynasty. They have the dynasty team over there now with all these kids, right?
Yeah.
Emiliano is looking really, really good. He's really coming into his own. He's really swarming the crap out of these kids, man. That keep putting him in the ring against. And last night was no joke. He showed why he's got that name, man. That Vargas name, he really showed true to it. He came through, he swarmed them, and just destroyed this kid, man, following him all over the ring. The ref had to step in and call that one off. He just wasn't able to defend. But big fights last night. It was excellent. Brian Norman Jr., our friend, came through with a unanimous decision victory last night as well. He's looking really good. He moves to 24-0, 21 knockouts.
Wow.
Yeah. Some serious stuff going on in the boxing world with these young guys.
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting, Mike, is I was just telling Graham before you came on that I'm reading a book a friend wrote on the Gotti brothers, Joe and Arturo. It's called Thunder and Lightning. And the interesting thing about Arturo, when they asked him about his brawling style, he said, it's called a fight for a reason. Right? He said, people pay money. They appreciate a good technical boxer, someone who has skills. But, to tap me on the face and then run, that's not really a fight. That's like playing Red Rover or tag.
Yeah.
People want to see a fight. That's why they're paying money. If they wanted to see guys run, they turn on the TV and watch the Olympics or go to a schoolyard. And people want to get value for what they're paying. So guys that go in and hit you quickly with 2 or 3 jabs and then run, it's not a fight.
Right.
And it's not criticizing Ali or who's phenomenal or Shakur Stevenson, but really you want to see some fisticuffs. The only fighter I truly disliked was Gianfranco. He was a junior middle, and he was tap, 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 and run. And eventually just ran out of opponents because guys said, he had a title, but he said, they're not even interested in fighting him. What's the point? You're not going to fight me. You're just going to tap me and run. And it's ridiculous. You got to give the fans what they want. Yeah.
And you know what? Tomorrow they're getting some great boxing action going on. I don't know if you guys touched on it yet, but we got 7 title fights in one night.
Wow.
This one's going to be great. November 18th, guys. This one, Queensberry Promotions, TNT Sports. Can't wait to see this one. No club football that day, so all the diehard fans from places like London, Liverpool, and a few other cities can let loose, have a blast, and support their hometown fighters in Manchester. So this one's great. Nathan Haney, Stokes Pride and Joy, with an impressive 17-0 record, is taking on Denzel Bentley for the British middleweight title. That's Nick Ball, WBC silver champ, is taking on Isaac Dogbo. We got the ladies. We got the WBC Super Welter Championship title is up for grabs. Hannah Rankin from Glasgow fighting Emma Kozin from Slovenia. Then we got the Anthony Cascade taking on Brian Gardner. This clash of wits and fists, experience meets young blood, is anyone's game. Liam Davies, a champ with a shine from his recent victory, is gearing up to defend his title against Vincenzo Lafima. They say age before beauty, but in the ring, well, that's a different story. We all know that. The next spectacular features Ikaw Usman and Harry Scarf. It's a Nottingham versus Derby welterweight showdown. Word on the street, Cody Crawley doesn't ink the paper tonight. Usman is going to be dancing with Scarf instead. So, that's what happened, guys. Drama outside the ring.
Well, but Crawley's a welterweight. And who's he supposed to fight? Usman?
Yeah, he's supposed to fight Usman.
What's Usman's first name?
Icao.
And what belt does he hold?
Right now, I will bring it up. He's held the British and Commonwealth welterweight title since 2021, and he's the former English welterweight champion.
Right. It'd be nice for him to have the Commonwealth title, but it's not really important now that he's based in Las Vegas. It'd be a good stay busy fight.
So yeah, Harry Scarf and him are they're gonna go underway here for the British welter, Commonwealth welter, and the IBF European welter.
Do you know who the last Canadian was to hold the British and Commonwealth welterweight championship?
No, but I know you do.
Donovan Boucher,
the Road Warrior.
Yes,
good friend of mine, actually.
Great guy. Knocked out Kirkland Lang, and before it was Clyde Gray. I have to tell you a quick funny story about him. I'm talking to Donovan at a boxing fight, and then I get a text from it was a scam text. Hi, this is Donovan Boucher, and how you doing? I said, oh, I'm doing. How you doing? And we talked for a bit. And then I gave the form to Donovan and said, it's interesting you're claiming to be me because I'm right here with my friend Lou. So if you're actually here at the Mississauga Center, why don't you come over and say hi? I'd really like to meet you. And guy just disappears and blocks me. So, yeah.
Yeah, Donovan was the first guest that I had on my show. I'm not gonna lie.
Great guy. Great fighter.
First guy I interviewed. Got the nickname the Road Warrior because he went on the road and just demolished you in your hometown.
That's right. And I remember watching him on ESPN, and they said, who is this Canadian guy? And they did the same thing with Billy the Kid Irwin. And then a couple seconds later, Donovan lands a tremendous right uppercut, and the guy falls face first, out cold in New York. Yeah. And the referee didn't count. and the announcers are, you know what? Maybe he's better than we've been giving him credit for. Yeah, most Canadians are, but they don't understand. We don't need you to give us credit.
Exactly. I'm super excited for this one getting underway though. It's Manchester Arena, United Kingdom, BT Sports got this one. Nick Ball taking on Isaac Dogbo, WBC Silver Feather. Can't wait to see it. Liam Davies taking on, for the title of the EBU European Super Bantam. We got Denzel Bentley fighting for that British middle. We got Nathaniel Collins fighting for the British feather. And then we have Hannah Rankin fighting for the WBC Super Welter. And then we have Solomon DeCaires fighting for the British English heavy. So,
Mike, would you agree that Isaac Dogbe or Bo or whatever it is a shot fighter?
Yes.
Okay. Because Graham and I were just saying that before that.
I would agree.
Yeah.
He's got the ability, but
he's taken too many beatings recently.
Yeah. That's he's 24-3 right now. 15 knockouts. He's been knocked out once, pretty bad himself. Honestly, his last loss against Robisi Ramirez, they went the distance, 12 rounds there. He was down in round 12 for that one. Before that, Emmanuel Navarrete.
Yeah.
He lost to him back to back. The first time he lost was 2018 in December the 8th. That one went unanimous. And then he fights him again in 2019, a little more than a year later, May 11th. And then, Dogbo was down in rounds 6 and 12. Referee stopped the bout after the corner threw in the towel. So
that was his father's fault.
Yeah. Out of his 3 losses, to lose to Navarrete twice, man, that means, you've been there fighting for that world stage and you haven't been able to get past it. He's just one of those guys. He did fight Joet Gonzalez to take on, to win that WBO International Feather. He fought Christopher Diaz for the North American Boxing Federation Feather. And then lost to Robisi Ramirez for that WBO World Feather.
And he held the world title at one point.
Yes, he
so
did.
More than I'll ever do. And you look at guys like that. I mean, they're trying to recapture the lost glory. You can't blame them. Who wouldn't? Because they printed a mountaintop. But it's in so many cases like him with him, It's the law of diminishing returns. Plus, he's fighting bigger guys. He doesn't have the reach. He's got to get inside and walk through hellfire, and not just he can't do it.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
It's gonna be a great event. This one, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, guys. It's underway. It's gonna be great. Big night of fights. Then we move into Pacheco versus Contreras. This one gets away 9 p.m. Diego Pacheco is all set to dazzle the boxing scene as he squares off against Marcelo Corcoras for the WBO International and US WBC super middleweight titles. This one is scheduled tomorrow night at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles. Yep. Pacheco, he's that fiery boxing sensation, undefeated record, 19-0, 16 KOs, continues to soar high in his great boxing journey. His recent outing in July was nothing short of spectacular, where he showcased his talent against the formidable Manuel Galgos in Monterrey, Mexico. A ruthless body shot sent his opponent to the ground in the fourth round, making Pacheco the first ever to stop the Mexican powerhouse, Manuel. So, this kid, I've been watching this kid for a while now, and his rise. He's just further cementing himself as that dominating person in the division. What are your thoughts on Pacheco's journey so far?
Becoming must-watch TV. It's a great fight. I was just going to say, you said a ruthless body punch. It's funny that they call it ruthless, because it's as if he's going to give the guy a warning. In a couple seconds, faster in the liver so hard, you can involuntarily piss your pants. But yeah, I mean, he's a great fighter. He's got all the skills, and it's great. It's great to see a guy like that. He reminds me of that guy from Puerto Rico who was on TV recently. He's got the short hair and the rose on the side. I think he's a lightweight or welterweight. Great looking young kid, 19, 20, and he signed with Top Rank, and just a wonderful fighter, and takes his time and just like Pacheco, just throws quick punches, puts it together in combination, does everything you're supposed to do, right? If you look at Pacheco, you'd say to another boxer, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is how it looks when it's done well. That's how good he is.
Yeah. Definitely some good action. Yeah. So guys, make sure you tune in for all of this. You don't want to miss it. This can be great. I'm super excited for it. I was really excited for last night's fights. Man, I stayed up and watched that. I was a little tired when I got up this morning just because of watching that. But definitely some good fights going on this weekend.
Well, I keep reading online about I know you take everything online for a grain of salt, but about Deontay Wilder hasn't fought in a while, and Anthony Joshua. And then I happened onto an article about Deontay Wilder's younger brother, who had no amateur experience, is something like 4-6, or 3-5 as a professional. And he's been knocked out, I think, 3 times by guys that were like 1-10 and 1-16. So it's unbelievable that they're allowing him to fight. I don't know if we'll ever see Deontay Wilder again in the ring. I mean, he suffered damage when he speaks.
If we don't see him, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I think it's better for him to just sit at home at this point anyway, man.
Yeah.
Every shot this guy takes is just another brain cell getting killed.
Yeah. I agree. He doesn't need the money, so why bother?
Exactly. He got into this to make money to help his daughter. That's you have a couple $40 million paydays. I'm pretty sure you have money.
Yeah, and him, and I like Andy Ruiz, but I haven't seen him in a while. He's got power, and Joshua's not going to fight him again. So I think Joshua is desperate for an opponent. I mean, every time you hear Eddie Hearn speak, which is, Graham and I just turn into a sense.
You guys just start laughing.
Just mention that guy's name. I'm laughing.
If Eddie Hearn starts speaking over a backyard, flowers will, thanks to the fertilization, flowers will start growing. So he thinks something about him online, and someone said, "You're calling him a liar?" And I said, I'm calling him a stranger from the truth, is what I'm calling him. And that's what he is.
That's great. I like that one.
That's an old Winston Churchill line, because in House of Commons, you can't call someone a liar. So someone said, Mr. Prime Minister, are you calling me a liar? And he said, no, I'm calling you a stranger from the truth. So I don't know who Joshua would fight next. Who is there? He's not going to fight Usyk. He's certainly not going to fight.
He's fighting on the 23rd.
Who's he fighting?
On the big card in Saudi Arabia. He's fighting. Yeah. And Wilder's fighting too.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to fight Selma Hayek, but
I thought he was going to fight his way out of a paper bag.
Yes, and I heard that Wilder was fighting Selena Gomez, but I didn't know if that was actually true or not. The Hayek, I should have quit at the Hayek joke, but yes.
Joshua's fighting Wallen.
Otto Wallen, yes, I saw that on television. Yeah.
And Wilder's facing Joseph Parker,
who just knocked out the Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's right.
Simon Keane.
Simon Keane. Yeah.
Well,
Simon wasn't too keen that night.
No. No. Honestly, the Zone tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Erica Cruz Hernandez, Marilyn Rivas fighting for that WBA World Super Bantam title up for grabs. That's also on the same docket here as Pacheco and Kokoris. Khaled Yaffe is on this one, taking on Jonathan Rodriguez for the WBA Intercontinental Bantam title. And another kid that I like to see always staying busy, Mark Castro, is taking on Gonzalo Fuzendilla. and we got Jalen Walker. Love this kid, man. 11-0, taking on Jorge Villegas. So this is a pretty good card. Guys, sure you watch these two kids, man, Castro and Walker. Definitely some up-and-comers that I've been watching for a long time. Definitely, they shine every time they're in the ring. And, I don't see them losing here. Castro, big puncher. Walker, lots of speed. We've talked about these kids many times.
Mike, speaking of Rivas, is there anything coming up for Oscar Rivas out of Montreal? Or is he permanently on hiatus?
I think he's permanently on hiatus. I haven't really heard too much about him lately.
Yeah.
There's nothing really scheduled at the moment. His last fight was against Rozicki there back, what was it, last month on the 22nd. But other than that, I don't.
Didn't he fight Rozicki before that? Last month? He fought him a while ago.
I believe he fought him before. That must have been a long time ago.
Okay.
But he took on Rozicki last month, beat him by unanimous decision.
Okay.
Rivas was deducted a point in round 12 for a low blow during that one. But that was the last fight. I don't know where we're going to see him next, but definitely I'd like to see him back in the ring soon.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you that gigantic guy from Montreal, Mahmoud.
Oh, he's on December 23rd fight as well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Arslan Beck.
And let me ask you about Mahmoud from Montreal. Do you think a fight with Jared Anderson now is too soon for him? Or for a guy like Daniel Dubois, or does he need more seasoning?
You know what? I'd like to see
who?
Okay.
Anderson or
Makhmudov. The guy from Montreal, the heavyweight, the giant heavyweight.
Yeah.
They could put him in with somebody like Jared Anderson now, or they could put somebody. He's got the ability. He's one of these fast heavyweight guys. Like, where it takes some of these guys a few strides to get across the ring. This guy can make it across the ring like he's a middleweight, and he's got the movement. And I don't see too many people that'll be able to take this guy on later on in the career, man. So it's better to get it out of the way now. He's already pretty feared. He's definitely one of these guys that's got some heavy hands. Every time I see this guy, he's just dinging people out. They call him the Lion for a reason.
Right. People have to understand the term heavy hands. And by that, we mean you don't have to hit a guy flush to hurt him. The guy's so strong, his hands are so powerful, he can hit you a glancing blow and not break your jaw and knock you out.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, definitely. You gotta be scared of this guy. He's taking on Ajit Kabal. So
Right.
this should be a good one. I think Cabell is going to be in for a rude awakening. I know he's 23-0 right now, but definitely I think our man Magomedov is going to come through and just eat this guy for dinner. Sure, he's 6'3", this German, 31 years old. Coming off his last fight, really is all German, right? Like he's really hasn't fought too many people off
But
of his own home,
on
so it'll
that
be
fight,
nice to see him.
on that fight, and someone who we just mentioned, Daniel Dubois, he's fighting Jarrell Miller, the American.
Oh, okay.
He-
How old
he-
is Miller now?
Yeah.
I don't know, but last time he was supposed to fight was he was supposed to fight Joshua, and he got stopped because he had more drugs than whatever. Like, so he's now. But anyway, he was
Yeah.
making a hell of a fuss at the press conference. I don't know if you guys read the press conference or saw it. It was really quite funny. I mean, the guy's got a motor mouth, and he was really going off on
Daniel Dubois has a motor mouth?
No, I'm talking about Jarrell Miller.
Oh, okay.
No, he didn't.
Yeah,
he was going off.
Jarrell
Going off
Miller,
on Joshua. He was
he's
going off
35.
on Hearn. That's what reminded me.
If he's 35, it sounds like a
Yeah.
setup. I'm
35. He's also the other big. He's the other big baby. We got Big Baby Anderson.
Oh, right, yeah,
Big Baby.
right.
He is a big baby. He was the guy that was caught 3 or 4 times on drugs, and then complained that he said it was someone else, and one of the writers. In addition to being a liar, now you have multiple personality disorder. So why should they give you a license? I mean, this guy is. Look how heavy this guy is.
At that point, you don't even know who's showing up. But yeah, no, he.
That's very funny. It wasn't me. It was the other me, him. I'm not me.
It's the other me. Hold on. Let me get him. Hey. This guy though, this guy's a monster. Like he weighs in. He fought Lucas Brown back in March, and he weighed in at 333 pounds.
Yeah, their combined weight was more than my apartment building. So yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, my weight was 600 pounds, man, between the two guys in the ring.
That sounds like my old grandmother. I mean, that's incredible. How can you allow that in boxing?
Yeah,
how
so
can you know
what? I don't even know.
Well, I was just going to say.
How can that be good for your heart?
No, and there was one of my favorite SCTV sketches with John Candy. He's playing this boxer, and he's training for months and months. And his trainer, played by Joe Flair, looks at the scales and says, "You've been training for 12 weeks. You gained 80 pounds. You're supposed to lose." And Candy says, "Oh, I didn't know that. You just said 80 pounds. You never said lose 80 pounds. You just said 80 pounds. So I gained 80 pounds." So, and you look at, I mean, obviously Miller's not training. He's not taking it seriously. And I mean,
No.
he's fighting Mahmoud.
He is fighting Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, Dubois should kill him.
Oh yeah, no, Dubois is a heavy favorite in this one for sure. Definitely, he's gonna be. Honestly, I don't see this going too fast. Guys like that, they just don't have a gas tank.
Miller's not going to go too fast unless Dubois has a buffet behind him.
Unless they got front row tickets to the buffet at the casino.
That's right. Listen, I got a spaghetti plate waiting for me and 12 hamburgers. You really got to help me out here, Daniel. Yeah, it's not going
to. They're every round they're filling them with protein shake.
Referee breaks him up. Yeah, you can't bring the shake in during the round. Why not?
No,
you can't. But he. I mean, if Dubois is smart, he doesn't really even have to hit him. Just run. Just move. Make this.
Oh yeah, no, he'll just tire out. He'll just tire out. But
I mean, to walk up the steps into the ring, Miller will ask for a break. I mean, that's
just wait till we see the ring walk. The ring walk will depict everything. I bet you the camera won't even pan to him because he'll be like walking out and he'll be like,
You couldn't pan to him.
The sweat will be like last night they were talking. Last night they were talking about one of the fighters coming out. Oh, he looked a little dry. That won't be the problem here, folks. That guy will be sweating from like his ball sack, like just on the walk.
I mean, Miller, he's Rodney Dangerfield fat. I tell you.
Yeah.
He's all right now, but last week he was in rough shape, you know? I mean, I'm telling you, so fat, two women can make love to him at the same time and never meet. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, this guy, you couldn't pan to him because he's bigger than the curvature of the earth itself. So and he deserves to hear comments like that, because when I met Ken Norton 25 years after his career was over, he was still in fighting shape. He wasn't even a pound overweight.
Yeah.
You know, and Miller will never have the skill of a Ken Norton. So it's an insult to fight fans. At least show you care. You know, I mean, although I didn't think he was that skilled, the Polish fighter from New York, Adam Karnowski, he lost his last fight against a guy he probably should have beat, but he said, I gave it my best. I wasn't good enough. And you can respect that.
Right.
And like Willie DeWitt, I went as far as my ability could take me. I'm not an elite fighter. But this guy Miller, he's been pulling this sham on folks, on boxing public for years. How does he still get fights?
Like I said, this is first one since 2019, I think.
I mean, they must fly him over in cargo hold. I mean,
they use a shipping plane.
Him and two horses.
He gets FedExed over.
I'm telling you, he'll be a rich man if he gets paid per pound. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. So Joshua's taking on Wallen. We got Wilder taking on Parker. Dubois, Miller, Bivol, Arthur. You know, light heavyweight. This is the only. Well, there's two non-heavyweight titles on this card. We've got Bivol taking on Arthur, and we got Opatia taking on Zorro. So we got the cruiserweight and the light heavy.
Who's Arthur?
Pardon me?
Who's Arthur's first?
Lyndon Arthur.
Okay.
Lyndon Arthur. 23-1 right now. That one's for the WBA Super World. Yeah, light heavy. Jai Opatia. It's going on for the against Ella Zorro for the IBF World Cruiser. Yep. I can't wait to see Arslan back. I love watching this kid every time he's in there. Frank Sanchez is taking on Junior Fa.
Yeah,
nice to see him in the ring. That should be a good one. And then we got Filip Argovich taking on Mark Demori. That should be a quick and easy one for him. Argovic, another big guy that I like watching, man. This guy's a monster as well.
Frank Sanchez is one of those fighters that's always good, always well prepared, and really skilled. And I don't think he gets enough credit or publicity.
He's one of those guys that's always prepared, so they know they can always count on him to jump into the ring.
And though we were making fun of Miller, it reminds me of Ali when he fought Buster Mathis. Now, Buster Mathis was 6'4", 330 pounds, and always had a problem with his weight. And Ali was easily beating him. And I think around the 10th or 11th round, Ali just walked away. He said to the referee, I'm not going to kill him. So the referee said, you have to keep hitting him or I'll disqualify. He said, then go ahead. I'm not going to kill him, man. He can't defend himself anymore. Stop the fight. You know.
That's
You know, so
there's another guy that I watched. He's in Australia. I watched him. Last time I seen him was a couple of years ago. He's got one of the longest reaches in boxing. Julius something. Something Julius. Big black dude. And I watched this guy fight, and I mean, like, so out of shape, like 350, 360.
Julius Long.
That's it. Yes.
I know. You know why? Because on one of my recent Substack articles, I wrote a thing called The Harder They Fall, or The Bigger They Are.
Yeah.
And he was one of the fighters I featured. He's over 7 feet.
He's over 7 feet tall. He's got like a friggin' 90-inch reach.
Yeah.
I think it's like 91 or 92-inch reach. And I mean, like, this guy fights leaning on the ropes. Like, that's how he fights.
And he loses all the time. He's from
all the time.
Originally.
All the time. He fights back on that rope. He's leaning on that rope, just using the rope to move around because he can't move around unless he's on the rope.
Yes, and the tallest fighter I ever found was a guy from Australia who was named Ewart Pipe Guider, and he was 8 feet 2 inches tall.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And this was in the 30s. He had 2 fights against guys with losing records, and he won them both. They were 4-round fights, and then he died of tuberculosis not long after. But in the article, I've seen guys that were 7'6", 7'7", and there was a British champion named Ben Caunt, Caunt. There for one vowel, and he went to the States and he found this guy, big guy, Ben. I can't remember the guy's name, Chase or something. Anyways, the guy he found was 7 feet 4 inches tall, and he brought him back to England. And this guy had 3 fights and won and quit. He won them all, and I asked him why. He said, "I don't fancy getting hit in the face that much. It's not really my idea of a job.
Right.
I don't really want to do this." But there have been fighters that have been 7'5", 7'6", close to 8 feet, and and the point of my article was, for some reason, and even today with Tyson Fury and Usyk or David Price, people think that tremendous height equates to talent, and it never does.
No.
There's no correlation, so that's why a guy like David Haye easily beat Nikolai Valuev. Valuev didn't have the skill. Yeah, he was 7 feet 2 inches tall, but he was like Yeti. I mean, if you look at him, he had gigantism, and he just didn't have the skill. And they say, well, he beat Holyfield. Yeah, he beat a 44-year-old Evander Holyfield who was out of shape, and was jumping to hit him. So guys like that usually have short careers. It never equates that weight. And Julius Long is.
I stumbled onto him when he first fought Hemi Ahio back in 2019. I believe he got by unanimous decision, and Julius Long was coming off a knockout loss against Lucas Brown, and then he went on and he honestly, Julius Long is still fighting now. Like he fought last month against he fought last month on in the hometown there, Gold Coast Convention Center, and he took on Tosi Vuisitu, and he lost TKO in that one. But now, if you notice, his fights are only be scheduled for in the last few, he's only been scheduled for 6 rounds, 5-round fights, 3-round fights, because he can't last. Like his last loss, it was 4-rounder. This is a guy who's now 46. He's 46 years old. 90-inch reach, 7'1". Yeah, he got TKO in the 4th. He went the distance. His last fight that he got knocked out in was when he took on Hemi Ahio in a rematch. This was back in February 27, 2021, and Ahio was down around 4, but came back and KO'd him in the friggin' 7th round.
Yeah, I know that Long, the guy he lost to recently, was actually had a winning record. Was a good fighter, so give him kudos for taking him on. But these guys just usually Ed Tutel Jones, and these guys are just so devoid of talent. It's amazing they even get a license to box.
Right. And honestly, I think because like Julius Long, ever since 2013, has relocated to Australia, and I really believe that's just because of his career. Like his career was going south then, right? Like up until then, he was kind of like a 50-50 fighter. Maybe like a little bit of a more winning than losing record, but then he took a couple of bad beats there. And then he started having to search for a place to go and have these fights happen.
Yeah.
And 2013, he ends up getting on a plane going to Australia, and just I guess never came back, because every fight he's been on since 2013 has been in the UK, or sorry, not in the UK, in New Zealand.
Yeah,
in Australia and New Zealand. So he fights all over there.
Yeah, the only fighters I know of in the last 300 years that have been super tall and successful are the Klitschko's and Tyson Fury. I mean, Lennox is 6'5" 3/4, but I mean guys that are really close to 7 feet, and guys like that aren't skilled usually. But the Klitschko's were, and Fury's quite skilled.
Yeah,
I mean, guys like Carl the Truth Williams, 6'4", 6'5", he could fight a bit, but never got over the hump. And, there's a famous story. I end my article. There was going to be a fight between Wilt Chamberlain, who was like 7'3", against Muhammad Ali, 6'3". And this was after Ali had been kicked out of boxing, so he needed the money. There was more money in 68 than he'd ever been offered. And they met in a room, and they were about to sign the contract. And they said to Muhammad, is there anything you say before Wilt Chamberlain signs the contract you want to say? And he said, yes. Timber! Apparently, Wilt Chamberlain turned completely white and walked out. And then Ali looked at the cameraman or the reporter and said, why on earth does a basketball player, even if he's 50 feet tall, think he can beat me, the best fighter on this planet? He's got to be deranged.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Completely.
Yeah. Now, Ali said,
so
your reach is great till I land my first overhand right, and then you're on.
Yeah. That's it. It's skill, man. It's skill. Having the skill and the know-how, how to get around that extra long reach. When a guy really knows how to use that reach. Like, for instance, last night, here's a guy that knew how to fight against that. The guy who fought Brian Norman Jr., right? Junior's one of these guys who likes to swarm, likes to get in on that inside and then overwhelm you with the volume of punching and the speed and ferociousness, right? He's one of those exciting fighters. Last night, the guy that he was fighting, he couldn't keep him off. He kept guys who have a long reach can't do anything on the inside because they just don't have that ability, because they fight from the outside. So if you can capitalize on that, follow that shot in, come in underneath it, and stay on that body on the inside, then it's easy to take these big guys out.
Yeah, and all the great old-time trainers used to say, height and reach advantages are meaningless unless you know how to use them properly.
Exactly.
So many of these guys don't. So like you're saying, Paul Williams, when he fought Erislandy Lara, and Paul Williams is welterweight, it was 6'2", or something like that. And Lara was 5'7", 5'8". But Lara almost killed him. And, of course, Williams got a gift decision in that. But it was a joke because Lara just stayed on the inside and Williams couldn't hit him. And he just destroyed Williams. It was never the same after. And after the fight, Lara said, yeah, I won and they robbed me. But physically, who's the better man now? And it was Lara.
There's another guy that I don't know what we're going to see from this kid, Sebastian Fundora. We all know this kid, towering. He's a super welter, southpaw, 6'5.5" with an 80-inch reach, but fights on the inside.
Yeah. And I never thought that was smart because he's making himself a target.
And in his last fight, he became that target, and Brian Mendoza took him out.
That's right.
Took him out, KO'd him in the 7th round. Mendoza came from behind to win that one. He was losing on the cards, and all of a sudden, he just capitalized on the fact that this kid did not use his reach. That's why, I praise his sister more than him. His sister knows how to use that reach to her advantage. Yeah. She just won that IBF title. What was it, last month or the month before? It's funny when you see guys like that just he could be so much better.
You won't. His sister was smart because she wore her glasses in the ring too, which because you can't hit her because of that. But I also think with someone like that, I mean, it all comes back to Charlie Goldman, who trained Marciano and other world champions. So Marciano was only 5'10", but Goldman had worked with terrible Terry McGovern in the late 1890s, early 1900s. And it was Goldman who said, you got to turn your disadvantages into strengths. And what you do is, if you're short, you fight from an exaggerated crouch. You make yourself less of a target. And if you're tall and on the perimeter, or like you said, you have to fight from the perimeter and use your reach, force the other guy to lean in, and then you catch him and use his momentum against him. And as Goldman said, this isn't brain surgery, but for some reason, guys just can't grasp this.
Right.
And so, Fundora could use the jab and walk people into his right hand time and time again, but he wants to get inside, and he'll get knocked out again because a guy, when he's that close to you and his legs are that close together, there's no balance. He gets hit on the chin like Mendoza popped him, he's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And he couldn't get back up after that one. We all saw that. He's sitting on his ass, and he knew he was done. He didn't even attempt it because there's no way he would have been able to stand up, that tall, lanky guy. I want to touch on what Carl said here for a sec. Just like Anderson jumps in with nobodies of note. Yes, it's true. They're just putting opponents for him to demolish in front of him, but people are keeping out of his way. To be honest, they are, because of his ability. He's a very fast heavyweight. He learns on the fly. He's very educated right now. He is going to be a force to be reckoned with in that heavyweight division in the future. Yes, he's not there yet, but he will be there soon.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah. But
that's the exciting part. That's the exciting part of the sport, Mike, as we all know. Right? Yeah. To watch him, not when he wins the title, but now on the way up when he's developing into
which is what I love. Like I've watched this kid ever since he turned pro. I watch his amateurs. I watch his kid turn pro, and now I'm very, very impressed with what I see. They're teaching him on the fly. They're teaching him how to not knock everybody out. That's the thing, right? Like you're not going to knock every opponent out every time, And he's learning how to use the other parts of his game, everything else that's in his arsenal that he has, which he's learning, which is great. And it's good to see him growing as a fighter, to see what he once was, which was an explosive, fast, small heavyweight that can just knock people out, to actually watching him get in there and be technical about it and starting to use the techniques that he's picking up. And as he's growing as a fighter, it's great to watch.
And it is great to watch. And the great Harry Wiley, too bad Tim wasn't on so we could argue about this. Because Harry Wiley never fought, but he trained Sugar Ray Leonard. And that's a pretty good guy to say you have trained. And he helped with Ali. And Harry Wiley used to say, there's a time in a fight where you have to concede the knockout. You hit him with your best shot, he doesn't go anywhere. Concede the knockout. He said that's when it's important to know how to technically box.
Right.
You concede it, and you win on points. And he said so many young kids can't do that because you can't knock everybody out. Some guys you can hit with your best shot, they're just not going anywhere.
Some guys you could hit with a Ford Fiesta and they're not going to go out. They just
right. I mean, other than a good shot, a tax bill would be the only thing to get hit with that would take those guys out. But,
exactly.
Yeah, but we've all seen guys, Matt, the Hilton brothers, and different guys, Arturo Gatti, guys that got hit, Marciano, with great shots, and they just didn't go. So you got to know what you're doing and be able to, put the points on the board. Is the Puerto Rican fighter I'm thinking of, is his name Pacheco or
Pacheco?
He's got the Puerto Rican flag or yellow, blue, red or something. And he's only 19 or 20, comes into the ring. He starched everyone he's fought. He's incredibly quick. I'll look his name up.
Yeah. At WBC, listen, we do interact. Sorry, I got on late. I didn't see any of your comments, but we always interact with our people in the comments. So if you're upset, sorry. If you're not and still here, why don't you drop some stuff so that we could talk about it instead of just complaining about it? Come on, the way Sugar works. You're on her show every weekend. Every week, actually. Not even weekend, every week. But yes, at WBC, you know what? Yes, we do love the support and the comments that you do break down for us on all our shows across the channel. Much respect.
Yeah, all these comments are valid. And these people, by commenting, you're helping the sport survive. The comments are valid, and we need you. We need you to help us to help boxing.
The comment that was made earlier was that Katie Taylor was sparring with Sandy Ryan in preparation for a fight against Chantel Cameron. So,
which comment that I like that he put was Daniel Dubois will take a knee and propose this time.
That was pretty funny.
I didn't hear that. Daniel Dubois.
Daniel Dubois will take a knee and propose this time. Yes. Sorry, WBC. I know you're funny as hell, man. Sorry that we didn't get to you earlier, but we are out of time for the show today, guys. So yeah, we're gonna cut it because we got boxing to watch. So you guys don't have to. So you can come back here and watch us tell you all about the wonderful boxing that we watched. But yes, to all the Talkin' Fight fans around the world, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Friday Night Panel. I am back. Thank you. You will be seeing my show next week. Knuckle Up is coming back. I'm now well enough to be able to talk without coughing my head off. I know you guys didn't want to see that because that just would have been a shit show and a half. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel, new topics.
Yes.
Right on.
Be
Thanks,
well,
guys.
my friend.
Yeah.